Hey guys, this is Infinite Flash here. Today I'm going to be covering a game that happened in the Groningen Open between a 2621 Grandmaster named Makun and Danny Raznikov, a very decent 2500 GMRI. I'm not sure which one he is, but anyways, I think this is a very fascinating game because of the length of the game, as you've seen in the title. In this game, this was played on just after Christmas, I think, just a few days after Christmas. A lot of tournaments were going on at this time, and this game was almost lost in the mix. But I've seen it. I saw it posted somewhere. I can't remember, but let's see what happened. In this game, Makun played c4, and we saw a symmetrical English by Raznikov. We soon get a very normal four knights English opening, very standard for this opening. And in this position, White has g3. In this kind of position in d4. d4 was played in this game. d4 looks a lot more natural than g3, but g3 is being played mostly at top level these days. We saw the captures, pretty much the only move for black, I think, and captures back. Very standard reply for this position. And in this position, black has g6, d6. I think e5 is a move in this kind of position, very normal. But in this position, we just saw e6 played by black, threatening this bishop to the b4 square. So what White's idea is now is to play a3 to prevent that. That's one move in this kind of position. I think there's also g3, even e4 possible in this position. I'm not sure about the objective merit of those moves, but I've been primarily playing a3 myself as White in this kind of position, and have been having decent results when I did play knight f3. And in this position, I think black is playing very, very decently with bishop e7. I think queen b6 is also possible in this position, as we see kind of in the game. There's also d5, getting a kind of a queen's gambit Tarrasch opening kind of set up with already a3 put in. I think this is pretty nice for black, actually, in comparison to the regular Tarrasch. a3 is a slightly weird move. Okay, so we saw bishop e7. And now, White has to pretty much decide on his setup right here. He can choose bishop, e4 here. That's pretty normal. And, g3 is also another move. That was actually played in the game. I don't really see another great alternative. Clearly, I think knight b5 is also possible. Maybe black can play d5 in that kind of position. This is perhaps possible, I think. Wait, d5 takes. Maybe it's not. But maybe you can just play d6 and kick the knight back with a6 soon enough, over here. So probably not the captures there, but you kind of get the idea. Alright, so in this position we saw g3 played by White. Very natural move, trying to defend shadow this bishop right over here. And black is trying to react to this very quickly. He doesn't want to let White develop this bishop here right now. So he decides to play very aggressively with queen b6 in this position, attacking this knight, and the knight is only defended by the queen, so something has to be done about this knight. It either has to be moved or defended in this kind of position. If it's defended with bishop e3, I think knight g4 is just attacking this defender right here, and it's really awkward for White to play this position. Knight takes c6, knight takes e3 is just really bad for White, I think. This kind of position is very good for black, followed by this d5 pawn push. White is in really big trouble, I think, because he has the two bishops, and White is a weak pawn structure, and it's just terrible for a pawn structure, honestly. I hate White's position, honestly. So obviously not bishop e3. I don't really know what else White should do. I mean, he pretty much has to move the knight in this position. The key is, where does he move it? And in this game, he chose knight b3. I think the Makun forgot his lines, honestly. It's very surprising to see a Grandmaster not play the traditional main line with knight b5. After knight b5, I think the idea is that you're going to go to knight d6, so black has to pretty much prevent this plan with knight e5, jumping on the c4 pawn, threatening to capture over here, and also defending the queen, defending that square with the queen, also with the bishop and queen right over here laterally. And I think in this kind of position, there are very tricky lines with bishop g2 when black can capture here, or probably kick the knight back. I think that's also another interesting line. a6, queen a4 is one line I think I've seen. Very, very complicated stuff. Also, instead of bishop g2, there's also bishop f4, trying to go for this d6 square when there's very weird stuff with knight fg4. Very complicated stuff, I think. Very strangely, though, instead of knight b5, white played knight b4 instead, and I think this is a kind of a mistake almost. I don't like this move at all. And the problem is what black plays is very, very strong. He just plays knight e5 and attacks this pawn here. Knight d2 looks really, really uncomfortable to play in this kind of position, and you're kind of going back. So it's kind of understandable what white does. He plays e4 and defends the pawn here with the bishop right over here on the f1 square. But the problem is with e4 is that you're weakening the f3 square, the g4 square, the d3 square, the c4 square. Everything's weak in this position. Even e4 is potentially a weakness. This knight is really well placed to jump on that square. And I think what we're seeing in the game is really, really just an uncomfortable surprise for white. Now, black plays a very, very interesting move in knight fg4. Oh, come on, guys. That's not cool. Don't reset the board. Oh, man. Let's see if I can get it back. No! Freedom! Let's see if we can get it back. Okay, and in this position, we saw black play knight fg4. Let's put that as the new variation. Sorry about that, guys. Forgive me for that. And after this move, okay, there's pretty much a threat on f2, and, well, it's really, really awkward to meet this kind of move. I think one idea is that, so I think that white is in very serious trouble here. You know, bishop e3 is not looking that good here. There's not really a way to defend this f2 pawn in comfort and peace, so I think white is deep in dire trouble here. I think queen c2 is just running into knight f2 possibly. Also, knight f3 check is pretty deadly, I think. That's pretty convincing, actually. White is in really bad trouble there. So let's see, knight f4, and the best move probably white has is queen e2, sacrificing piece, I think. But of course, you know, white's idea is to play f4 and, you know, kick the knight away. He's winning a piece back, but, you know, black would probably play the bishop c5, and the whole structure is an entire mess. F2 and e3 are just complete disaster of squares, and I think black is just completely killing white in this kind of position. So that's probably, if that's the best that white has, then that's pretty bad. Instead of that, we just saw white play c5 in this position, but it turns out that this move is running into a fantastic reply. Let's see if you guys can find it. Just you know, pause your video for about 5 seconds, and let's see. Just pause in 5 seconds, and let's see if you can figure out what black's best reply is to this move. And the best move for black is actually the fantastic queen takes b3 move in this kind of position. Notice that there was all these weak light squares in this position, so there's some kind of tactic to be bound. And here, you know, after the pretty much mandatory queen takes b3, after queen takes b3, white just resigned. But let's see, if queen takes b3, this is how it could have continued. I think the idea is that knight f3 check is happening, and, you know, white only has 2 squares to go to, e2 or, you know, d1, and if e2, then we see this check. The king has to move somewhere, I don't know where, probably back. Just captures here. Black is, I think, up a piece after that in attacking the rook and the bishop. Black takes the bishop here once the rook moves, and he's up a clear piece for no compensation. So let's see about that one. Check. And let's see what happens if king d1. The idea with this move is that you're taking with knight f2 check. And if king c, well, white has like 2 moves with the king again, king e2 or king c2. With king c2, and we see this check. Same continuation happens. Same idea. Black wins the queen over here, again with the bishop right over there on c1 2 to have pretty much no compensation. White has no compensation for the full piece again. So again, we would see king e2 attacking both knights, but again, we would see this check. King takes f2, takes here, and pretty much after the dust settles, I think that black is just totally winning, right? Should be totally winning. The rook is attacked, and he should be up a pawn. He's up a lot of pawns, I think, after that. Let's see after that. He's up 2 pawns after this, remarkably. After, let's say, rook b1. Probably knight takes c1 check here. You know, black is just, you know, just up a pawn, 2 pawns in fact. So it's understandable why White resigned. This is just completely lost for him. Well, guys, that was a pretty interesting game. Ma Kung got destroyed, actually, just with the swarming knights and wheat-like squares in White's position, in his position, and it's certainly understandable how this happened. Beautiful move by Queen with Queen B3, actually. I would have probably not even considered the move, honestly, in my calculation, so this is a fantastic concept that he saw. Alright, guys, thanks for watching the video. Really appreciate that. See you around. Oh, and also, if you rate the video and leave a comment, perhaps subscribe to the channel, that'd be cool. See you around.